Yo! Welcome back to a brand new Craftopia guide. In today's guide, we are going to be talking about creative mode. Now, as always, if you enjoy this video, please do drop a like and subscribe. Comment down below with any help that you may need in the game, or what do you use creative mode for? Do you use it at all? Did you even know it was a thing? Let me know. But let's do this. Now, first of all, creative mode is available on all platforms. So whether you play on Game Pass, Windows 10 or Steam, you will have the option to start a creative world. So you're just going to want to select your character, and then just before you select your world, just head down and press new. Type in any world name, so for this sake I'm just going to go with creative. Now, as it is creative, difficulty really doesn't make a difference, but you can select it or you can just change it in game if you wish to mess around with different difficulty settings. But next, head down to game mode, and here you'll be able to select creative. And as it says, this is a mode where you can enjoy crafting, building, and experimenting as you desire. Basically, there's no limits. You can just build stuff without the resources. You can do whatever you want. You can even set yourself to being invincible, but we're going to go through the settings in just a moment. So go ahead and select creative and press create. And now right at the bottom, you will see we now have this creative world. Now, when we select that, we get a couple of options here. Free build mode means you can just go crazy. You can spawn anything you like, and you can just build without any limitations, without any worry of running out of anything. You don't have to wait for crafting times. Everything is just instant. You then have playable mode, which you can then play the maps that you've created, and you have creative mode settings. So if we head into here, there is a few different options on here, and some of the settings are pretty good. Hopefully we get some better options when it comes to players being able to join the game and being able to kick people out, things like that. That would be extremely useful. And also we're quite limited, so when we do our events, we have to make traps out of things, and it's kind of difficult with what's currently in the game. But the winter update is coming soon, so that will bring some more pieces, but hopefully we get stuff that inflicts more damage, things that we can create traps out of. But anyway, here we got the option to quick craft. This basically means you do not need materials. You can just create anything you like. You can then choose which age you start on, so you could go all the way down to Stone Age, or just start in the age of scientific research, so you've got everything in the game. You then have immortal mode. So immortal mode, you do take damage, but you will never die. Your health won't go below 1. You then have invulnerable mode, where you do not take damage at all. You've got no hunger mode, so of course you don't need to worry about any food. And finally, infinite stamina, so you can just run around, fly around, do whatever you need to do. Now, these settings apply to everybody in the game, the host and everybody else who joins. You can then set the time of the day to any point that you like. I quite like setting it to evening, so it's just a casual daytime, so I can just build and it's not getting dark. But if we head back up to the cog up here, we've actually got a second set of options. And here you can actually fix the island level to a level 7, meaning you could be on beginner island and it's a level 7. You can then choose the level that everybody starts at, of course, going up to level 55. You can choose how much gold everybody has, going up to infinite basically, how many skill points, how much starting life, starting mana, starting stamina, even starting enchantment points. You can then enable an option that will mean all of the buildings will take no damage. And finally, you can set it so only the host can build. These are very good settings, and I want more like this. It makes it really good for our events when we do like a maze and walls can't be destroyed, especially with things in the game like a retrieving rod where you could just pick things up very fast. So hopefully we get more settings, but there is some good ones there, and especially if you're just planning to build something crazy, you do not need any more settings than this. So I'm going to go ahead and max all of these settings out just because we're only messing around in creative and looking at some of the stuff we can do. So I'm just going to put all of that on. I'm going to leave the island level how it is because that doesn't make a difference, and then I'm going to keep all of this how it is, and let's just apply. Now I'm going to go into free build mode, which means we will not require any resources and we can just spawn items into the game. So as you can see, I have spawned on beginner island just like normal, but I have a ridiculous amount of health and mana. I'm already level 55. I've got a bunch of money. I never run out of stamina, and I'm completely invincible. So what I can then do is I can head into my menu, go across to creative tool, and in here is essentially your crafting menu. The only difference is I can press show all, and it will show every item in the game. Weapons, tools, animals, like everything, anything you need, builds, even resources, all of the vehicles, of course, and even every bit of food. The list goes on. There is a ridiculous amount of stuff, and at any moment you can just spawn this in. So for example, if I want this platinum one-handed sword, I'll just put it onto my bar, come out of my menu, And I now have that sword. I can do everything with it. I can go up and fight. I can do what I need to do, but I just spawned it in. And you can test around. You can mess around with things. There is no limitations to what you can do with everything in the game. Now, rather than scrolling the entire list, if there is something you know that you want, for example, I can click this search item here. I can type in wall and it will come up with everything that has wall in the title. I could then take these sci-fi walls, bring it down to my bar. There we go. Now I can place these walls down and they just infinitely generate. So I can just build as much as I like. It's never going to run out. I can literally cover the entire map if I want. Or I can actually remove all, which will get rid of every item. And I can now select where I would normally create that item. So for example, if I want something from the machine factory, I would select that and all the vehicles will come up, all of the stuff that you would normally make in a machine factory. And of course, if I was looking for something like the chain restraint bullets, I would have to go to the skilled version. It's exactly like it would be in the game, except I don't need anything to spawn it. I could just take this tank, bring it in, throw it down, and there we go, I have a tank. But of course, it still applies that if I get into this tank and I try and shoot, I do still need ammo. But that's okay because I can just spawn it in. Now, as you can see, I have 999 skill points. That's because that's what I chose in the settings. But that does also mean I can use 999 skill points. So if I head to my skill tree, I can actually unlock everything. There's no limitation to what I can unlock. I can get every skill in the game, or I can test out a particular class that I want and then hit reset. You still get your free reset, but also money doesn't matter. You have unlimited because you are in creative. So you could reset, test some builds out, even spawn the items in that you plan to use. You could even go to the extent of maxing out those enchantment points in the setting and actually getting the rolls to try and get your gear, or try and get the gear that you're planning to build to see if it is better than what you've currently got. That would be a lot of work, but it's doable because it's in creative and you can just spawn in anything you want to create that item. Now, some people, including myself, actually don't like to use this menu because of how laggy it is. I'm on PC right now and I run the game in complete max settings, but just being in creative, if I come up here and start typing, whatever I type, it takes forever. I'm not typing now. And there we go, it finally caught up. It's only that bad when it's trying to filter through all of the items, but still, it's just not great. So what I actually like to do is remove all, just select workbench, so it brings up all of your normal builds and bring in what you are looking for. So, for example, maybe I want some furniture. I'm just going to bring in a furniture workbench. I can now go into the furniture workbench and I can select everything as I normally would. The only difference is it would craft it. But you'd still have unlimited and the craft time is instant, so it doesn't really make a difference. But it allows you to put down all of the workbenches that you may require and go to each one as you normally would. That way it saves you looking around for a long time because you know where most things are. Now if I head back into my inventory now and go across the top, as you can see we have creative mode settings. You can actually change the settings from in-game to whatever you like. So I have it set to evening right now. I could set this to midnight, hit apply, and boom, my game will go dark. That applies for all the invulnerability settings as well. The only settings you won't be able to change unless you respawn are these ones here, and that's because it's starting life. So whatever you spawn in with, this will be saved as that. So you will have to leave the world and adjust these ones here, but you can adjust the in-game settings as you go. I actually like to record certain videos in creative purely because it allows me to set it to daytime. I don't like recording at night because it's so dark and I have no way of skipping nighttime. So sometimes I have to sit there and wait for the sun to come back up before I can continue my video. Sometimes that involves ending pretty much mid-sentence. Okay, so let's go ahead and spawn ourselves an altar of civilization and an altar of transportation. Let's place down the altar of civilization, and as you can see, it will build very fast because we're in creative. Now I can enter the altar and I can actually progress age. I do not need any of the required items. I can simply just progress age one by one. And that also applies for the altar of transportation. You can actually travel to any island, unlock any one without the required resources. So I can just go along even though I don't have anything in my inventory, and I can just unlock all of these islands. So if I want to, I could make my way all the way up to the very top right corner or find myself a specific island level that I want. But I do not need the resources for this, and I can just find the specific island that I want. Now when it comes to spawning in items, there's a very cool little trick. If I spawn spawn in some arrows. Obviously, you want a stack of arrows, but it's not going to give me a stack of arrows. It's just going to give me this one kind of infinitely generating arrow. The only problem is, if I was to then put that inside something like a multi-sling or inside a chest, it's going to disappear because I've only got the one in my inventory. Now, you can actually duplicate stackable items such as arrows or ores or scales or ingots, whatever it may be. You can just do that using the take one command. So for PC, that's shift and left click, and for console, that's right trigger and A. If you hit that on the arrow, it will make a second version. Now, if you try to duplicate the duplicate, it will just move it along one, but if you go back to the original, you can just keep duplicating this as many times as you like. So then you can use arrows in different things without having to respawn one in every time you need a new arrow. Of course, when you're shooting arrows, you don't need infinite. It's just when you're moving it from your inventory to a storage, even if that storage is something like a multi-sling. So if you were to use multiple multi-slings for something, you would need to spawn in an arrow for each one. Well, this allows you to just duplicate it and put it in as many places as you wish. Now, if I was to build something really cool on here and I wanted my friends to come and play, if we came in creative mode, they would just be able to build what they want, change settings. They could go crazy with it. That's not going to make it very fun if it's something like a death track. So what we can do is we can leave the world and we can restart it in free play mode. You can still adjust the settings, but only you, because you're the host. Our friends would have to abide by the rules that we put in place, whether that's in vulnerability or we want them to cook on campfires like in our mazes. This makes it a lot better for these little friendly challenges. And again, hopefully we get some cool settings in the future to be able to enable things like PvP. Imagine the events we could come up with. We've done so well with what we can currently do. If we were given more, we could go wild. Now, I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do drop a like and subscribe. Comment down below with any help that you may need in the game, or what have you built in creative? Do you use it a lot? Did you even know it was a thing? Let me know. Remember, you must create a new world, change it from normal world to creative to be able to do whatever you like. You won't need any resources. You can just go wild, get as crazy as you want with your builds. But most importantly, enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace!